So, Paige Beckers just had the most odd All-Star weekend I've ever seen from a player that is not currently in the WNBA. I've seen it being referenced as Paige Beckers is the first player to ever be in the WNBA without being in the WNBA, which is hilarious as well. Like, Paige Beckers is there in an All-Star jacket. She also is in a Legends photo, despite the fact she's not in the WNBA. And also, look, as great as Paige Beckers is, where's this energy? All I'm going to say is, where was the energy? Where was the energy to Paige Beckers that people had for Caitlin Clark not winning a championship? I'm sorry, Paige Beckers not only hasn't won a championship, she's only been to the Final Four twice. Never been to a championship game, and she's been on some good teams. Before we get on to things, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are trying to hit 24.7k by the end of the day, and we are 27 off right now. But, yeah, that's an interesting one. But, yeah, didn't really get that. And then also, there are some people trying to start some major, culture war. When, I'm sorry, these players were just having the time of their life. Like Caitlin Clark running over the Flaujae mid-game and being like, I'm coming to one of your games. Being like, oh, you can put on my jersey and go out and play. Oh, I'm coming to one of your games this year. Like, these players I definitely think there was some sort of, when sports rivalry gets to a stage, there can be some sort of animosity there. But then when you start to be around most of these people, you can tell they all just like being around each other. And that's because I think that's a lot of it is to do with the whole Team USA culture. And that's basketball culture now, is that there's no real hatred for your rivals. There is a competitiveness, and you can see there is a competitiveness. But if you saw right here, Caitlin Clark running over to hug Paige Beckers. People somehow thinking that they don't like each other. I don't know where that came from. I genuinely don't know where that whole thing came from. Like, you're acting like these pictures aren't real. Like, you're acting like it was not a case that Caitlin, Hailey Van Lith, and Paige Beckers were like the three. They were like the big three as far as guards their age. The three of them were unbelievable. Obviously, Van Lith has not lived up to it. But these were the best three in high school. They were the three that were meant to really take over, kind of like the next three, on a really, dominant Team USA. Paige Beckers probably being the best player at that time. So obviously, they've been on Team USAs with each other. They played against each other. If you don't remember the freshman game between Paige Beckers, you can't beat Iowa. But it was all about Paige versus, when Paige won, she won Player of the Year as a freshman she was the first ever freshman to win Player of the Year. And Caitlin Clark actually got tied Freshman of the Year with Paige, which is how good Caitlin was. And the two of them played against each other in an unbelievable game with no crowd in 2021. So that is great. And then there's people like this. Paige Beckers is everything y'all wanted Caitlin Clark to be. And one, who's y'all? Caitlin Clark is Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers is Paige Beckers. That's the only way I can describe it. Solely based on personality. Everything someone else wanted. And I think that's an issue where it's I think if Paige Beckers, if she goes in and has in with the similar hype, I think people are going to turn on Paige Beckers too. That's America. That is America. It's the worst country in the world when it comes to tall poppy syndrome. They love you. And then eventually they'll turn. Allen Iverson said it. When you're new and up and coming, they like you. She's not Caitlin Clark. They don't like Caitlin Clark now. Everyone loved Caitlin Clark when Caitlin Clark first kept coming up. And then you can see in this All-Star weekend. You can see. And that was, if anyone can see from a million miles away. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark on the bench talking about the assist to each other and being like, oh, everyone's going to love that one. Laughing and joking with each other. Heck, Angel Reese posting this on her Instagram, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But you can tell. You can tell all these players are just kind of happy to... They're kind of happy to be there. All of these, including Paige, these, massive draws. Paige has been getting them. Paige was a massive draw in high school. She was the one getting shouted out by NBA players. She was the one winning College Player of the Year as a freshman. And then, obviously, so she's used to that. And then you've got Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese who are used to playing in front of 15,000 people. Like, it's nothing. So, yeah. Just a very interesting weekend. And the amount of stuff that I've seen, again, with Paige and Caitlin, and people, first of all, shocked that they don't hate each other. Even though, I don't know who ever said that. Like, there was nobody... Paige Beckers basically admitted on live TV last year that Caitlin Clark is unguardable. And I mean it. Like, Paige Beckers in 2023 was injured, and crazy... I'm crazy how well Lou Lopez Seneschal fit in to her role. But it's like, it's people trying to turn people against people. At the end of the day, I think the reality of it is that after the first couple of weeks, when it just was 100 times more toxic than it is right now, all the rivalries, I think all the players have kind of realized, or most of them, let's just get off Twitter. And you could see at All-Star Weekend, all the players interacting. Man, that was just jubilation for the team. For the WNBA players. It was jubilation for them all. You're seeing Aerial Powers there, like, chatting to them. You're seeing Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers interacting. You wonder what they were talking about. I would love it if Paige Beckers ended up in Indiana. Just for an extra talented player. She can figure it out. People are like, oh, her game mightn't suit. She can figure it out. And I think that, oh my God, they're already making edits. They're already making edits of it all. Oh my God. But yeah, it is interesting because you can see these players. It probably is best for the game that none of them end up playing with each other. It probably is best that Paige is somewhere else. Ideally with the Valkyries, but they're not going to give the Valkyries the number 1 overall pick. They're just not. There is a 0% chance the Valkyries get the number 1 overall pick. But you could see with that whole weekend, and Paige was treated like she was an all-star and she'd never set foot in the WNBA. So they weren't even doing, for people saying, oh, they're treating Caitlin differently. No, Paige is being promoted as like a legend, despite the fact she's never set foot in the WNBA. She's never won a college championship, and she may well go down as the best UConn player to never win a championship. So, and to be fair, if there wasn't for the COVID year, she wouldn't have won one. I mean, obviously she was injured a couple of years. But yeah, it is going to be a very, very interesting year when she gets drafted. The worst part about it is now is that I think it is a little bit like Caitlin Clark, where it's like they all love you when you're coming up. And I would not be that surprised to see Paige getting somewhat similar media treatment to Caitlin Clark, and people, especially if Paige doesn't win this year, people turning on her. But look, I'm not going to lie. No injuries. Paige Beckers in that conversation for the number 1 overall pick this year. If she enters draft this year and there were no injuries at all, like if she did not get hurt the whole way up, I'm telling you, there is a conversation for her going number 1, even above Caitlin Clark. But obviously, best ability is availability, and Caitlin Clark is the best passer we've ever seen. So, yeah, going to be an interesting one.